Happy New Year's, everyone. My New Year's resolution is to go out more. Unfortunately, that's a bit difficult because I live on a steep hillside in rural America, meaning it's been transformed into an ice sheet these last few days. Please send help. I've run out of food and was forced to eat my family in order to survive. Luckily, I certainly haven't been bored since I've been playing Peglin. Peglin is an adorable little roguelike that Peggle shamelessly stole the core gameplay from 15 years prior. If you are unfamiliar, Peggle is about tossing a ball and destroying pegs in order to gain points. Peglin is similar, but instead of getting points, you fire indiscriminately into a nearby crowd. While playing Peglin, you gather a variety of orbs. These orbs have a few important values. The first number is how much damage is added when the orb hits a peg. More pegs means more damage, which is usually a good thing. The second number is the critical value. When the orb hits a critical peg, it deals its critical damage instead, as well as turning every previously hit peg into its critical damage. Very cool. Each board starts with 2 critical pegs and they move each turn, meaning sometimes it'll be easy to deal critical damage and sometimes it'll be fucking impossible. However, there are 2 other types of pegs. Refresh pegs that refill all used pegs on the board, allowing you to deal damage with them again, and bomb pegs, which take 2 hits to activate but deal a large amount of damage to all enemies. Bombs don't refresh with the board, so try to save them for when they really matter. There are a bunch of modifiers for pegs as well, like bouncy pegs or slime pegs that slow down orbs that pass through them. Each time you throw an orb or reload your orbs if you run out, enemies advance towards you and attack at the top of the screen. Most orbs only hit the closest enemy, but sometimes they can target anything or hit everyone depending on what orb you used. There are a bunch of enemies to fight, everything from little slimes to cute little knights, or even horrific nightmare abominations. Everything in this game looks adorable, with the fantastic pixel art style that's really simple, and honestly, that's all it needs to be. I love looking at my little Peglin and watching his animations. It's super cute. Now watch as he kills an innocent civilian. After every fight, you have a few options. First, you're presented with orbs. You can purchase these with the gold that you collect in each battle. Next, you can upgrade your orbs. Each orb has 3 levels, usually increasing the damage they deal or adding bonus effects to them. Upgrading orbs is incredibly important, as abilities can drastically change how the game works, and making them better can be absurdly busted. You can upgrade any number of times after each combat, but each time you do in the same combat, it costs an increasing amount of gold. Each time you move, this cost returns to its original value, so if you want to save gold, you should only upgrade once each time. Finally, you can choose to heal. It costs some money, but sometimes a heal is necessary. After you're done with all of that, you finally get to move on the map. There are 3 stages currently in the game, with branching paths connecting a number of nodes. Since this is a roguelike, they are obviously randomized every run. There's a lot of different nodes that are all useful in their own way. Fights with normal enemies, which we just discussed, fights with elite enemies that are much more challenging but yield better rewards, events which result in a massive variety of different effects, treasures that give you a relic, and shops which allow you to purchase new orbs and relics as well as allowing you to remove orbs for a price. Unfortunately, you don't always get to move where you want. Usually, you need to do navigation, which involves, you guessed it, a game of Peggle. So sometimes it's really easy to go where you want, and sometimes the ball will make the stupidest, most physics-defying bullshit ever seen in history just to completely fuck you over. If you activate pegs during a battle, they'll disappear during navigation, even if you refresh them later, so you need to be thinking where you want to move next, even while you're trying to maximize your damage. At the end of each stage, there's a boss. These are incredibly challenging and all have their own gimmick, from moving around the battlefield to completely changing how the board works. These will really test how good your build is. And speaking of your build, let's talk about one of the most important aspects of it: relics. Relics are passive items that you can collect from treasure, shops, or from winning elite and boss battles. And holy fuck, they're important. These can be as simple as giving your orbs +1 regular damage, or absolutely insane like copying crit and refresh pegs every time the board changes. While your orbs are undoubtedly important, having good relics can be the difference between a horrible death or getting the achievement for dealing 9,000 damage. Obviously, it's super random what happens during a run, so don't feel too bad if you die horribly. Finally, every time you defeat the final boss, you unlock a new Crucible level. Crucible levels are stacking modifiers that make runs progressively harder. This starts out with stuff like starting out with one more stone, dealing more damage when you misnavigate, or giving less gold. But eventually these stack up and introduce harder penalties like having healing or giving enemies an additional turn. Honestly, it gets real hard real quick, and I'm still struggling with Crucible 9 because I'm shit at the game. Right now there's all the way to Crucible 15, but there's more coming soon. Real quick, before we move on, I want to talk about the music, and don't worry, I'll keep it short. Right now, there's not many tracks in the game, and while very cute and relaxing, I have to admit that it starts to get old after a few hours. Again, it's not really the music's fault, so once some more tracks get added or specific enemies have different music, I think it'll be a lot better. The style of music overall is really bouncy and fun, and it's perfect for this adorable spin on Peggle. Now, you've probably noticed that I've been saying things like right now or in the future a lot in this video, so you probably already know what's up. But just in case you're a little slow on the upkeep, this game is in early access. Remember that whole currency system and shop I talked about earlier? Yeah, that wasn't in the game a month ago. The support for this game is absolutely insane, with major content updates coming out every month or so and bug fixes with smaller content coming out every 2 weeks. They plan to have a full release of the game around mid-2023, and holy shit, there's a lot to come. Entirely new classes to start as, roguelike progression, more bosses and mini-bosses, more enemy variety, an entirely optional final boss after the last stage, a bestiary to look at monsters, run history, and a ton of new orbs and relics. I am so excited to see where this game goes because it's easy to see this game has a ton of passion and love behind it. It's an absolute blast, and I really hope the devs can do everything they want with it. I truly believe that it'll become a masterpiece. For now, the game is $20 on Steam, but if you get it before the winter sale ends on January 5th of 2023, you can grab it for 20% off. I absolutely think this game is worth the full price, and $4 off is an absolute steal. Go check it out and support the creators, because not enough people are talking about this amazing game. For now, I need to go invade my neighbor's home for more food, but I'll be working on a new video in the meantime, so as always, I'll see you soon.